Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the West Lindsey series. This is one of the 9 districts of Lincolnshire and one of the county's most rural. It has 128 civil parishes. Let's see which one this episode's all about. Right, today in West Lindsey we've come down off the cliff into a valley here in the Lincolnshire wolds, and I have a nice little village for you which is part of a parish that involves both this village and a tiny hamlet to the south. This is Searby, Owmby. The West Lindsey series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop, located at 20 Ropery Road or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Today we're in Searby, another village on the Lincolnshire wolds, situated 4 miles southeast of Brigg and 5 miles northeast of Caister. The parish is termed Searby cum Owmby as it includes the hamlet of Owmby less than half a mile to the south. Searby is mentioned in the Domesday Book as Searby in the Lindsey 100. There's clearly some Viking influence in this part of Lincolnshire. We've already seen that in Bigby not far away. It's the same here. In 1066, the lord of the manor here was Rolf, son of Skjaldvor. As well as Searby and Owmby, there's also a deserted medieval village called Ordwell, and that was reputedly in the vicinity. Despite its small size, Searby mucks in with events in the wider Lincolnshire wolds area. Check out this poster, for example, for a local race for the Lives and Air Ambulance at nearby Nettleton. That brings us to the former Wesleyan Methodist chapel built in 1841. This appears to have been converted to a house sometime before the 1950s, and it's been altered greatly at various times. As far as amenities go, Searby has very little. There are no shops and there's also no post office. Mind you, there used to be the latter, and the building still retains something rarely seen. On the wall is a postbox with the letters VR, standing for Victoria Regina, Regina being Latin for Queen, denoting that Queen Victoria was monarch when the box was installed. Over half of the postboxes in Britain carry EIIR, denoting the current Queen. We've seen some from King George's reign too, but we've never seen one from Queen Victoria's. We have now. We amble on down Back Lane, passing some charming properties, whilst being almost stalked by the local postman, who seem to be following the same exact route as us. Searby used to have a school which was built here in 1854 to hold up to 60 children. The school was closed by 1912 and the children of the parish then attended school in Graspy. A lot of water on the road here. It's draining off this hillside, which Nikki just noticed here. Where's it coming from? Yeah. Somewhere here. Yeah. Somewhere here. He's there again, look, Postman Pat. I'm telling you, he's following us. What a great round to have though, seeing all these brilliant little wolds villages every day. Look out, it's the channel's new favourite long distance footpath again. Here we have the Viking Way, which runs across Searby towards Somerby. There's a pond here too. Clearly a private pond. This shot was taken from the footpath. I think, if anything, it belongs to the house we're about to see. From here, you can see the Manor House. That's the large building in the middle of this shot, to which this flagpole seemingly belongs. In 1881, it was occupied by William H. Coates, a farmer. Searby Parish also covers a wide area to the north known as Searby Top. There's a property up there that was rumoured to be owned by TV presenter Guy Martin. So this is a good indication of how small Searby is. I've almost walked around the entire village in like a little circle, but we still have to see the church, which is here, and there's an interesting building opposite this church as well, which is where Nicky is over there. Let's go and have a look at them both. St Nicholas's Church is a Grade 2 listed building which was rebuilt in 1832, although the base of the tower is of stone and could well be medieval. We'll get a closer look at St Nicholas's shortly, after Nicky has left a card on the notice board right outside the churchyard. In 1872, White's Directory noted the church tower as containing 5 bells and a clock, the latter and 2 of the bells being the gift of the vicar. New open oak benches costing £60 and carved with emblems of the 12 apostles and the 12 tribes of Israel were added to the church in 1858. The church at that time seated 100 people. There's been a church at Searby since at least 1441. Inside it, underneath a bronze relief of the Last Supper, is a brass table with the names of 6 men who fell in World War I. Looking skyward, there was some aircraft around. Searby sits just to the south of Kirmington in North Lincolnshire, which you might recall is where Humberside International Airport is. So Nicky's just spotted this headstone, which is unusual for 2 reasons. One, it's not in line with any of the others, and it's facing towards the door of the church. Can you read what it says on it, Nicky?
I don't know. No.
Is it faded away?
Yeah, it is absolutely faded away. Whether it's the first person that's been buried here or somebody strongly related to the construction or wherever, or donations to the church, who knows. I would have expected something a bit bigger in that instance. It could be a child, it could be the first person who was here.
Well, if it was the first person who was buried in the cemetery, what would they be known as?
Guardian.
The guardian of the cemetery. We are getting eaten alive by flies in this churchyard. We were just about to leave the churchyard behind and talk about that other interesting building that I alluded to a little earlier, when we noticed some graves which are all clearly related to each other, and they are these here. There's 3 in a line there, and then there's a row of them, at least 4 or 5, some of them are obviously children, here. And the reason they're interesting is because they've all got, let me just show you one of them, this implement on them. Now it looks like some kind of staff or maybe a sword or something, and it's got some writing wrapped around it which is quite hard to read. Now initially we thought these might be war graves, but they're not, because one of them says 1866 on it, so clearly a long time before either of the world wars. If anybody knows who these belong to, please let us know in the comments. There's also 3 more here which appear to have the same markings on them too. So to this building, which baffled us to begin with. What was it? What was it used for? Well, the answer is it's a roadside shelter provided by the local vicar in 1866. It was intended for use by residents who were waiting for a wagon or a cart to pass through the village. From what I can gather, it was never intended to be adjoined to a larger building. Okay, there's a plaque on the back of this and it's very hard to read, so I will try to read it out for you. This porch belongs to the vicar of the church school. Oh no, it doesn't say that.
Yes, it does.
Does it?
Yeah.
Do you want to read it for me, Nicky? Because I can't.
It belongs to the vicar of, and then something else. A vicar of. I would imagine that says the name of the village as sole manager of the church school. Therefore, any person using for purposes not sanctioned by the vicar, such as sticking bills, etc., commits a trespass. It's a very old trespassing warning.
Owmby is a hamlet to the south of Searby. Even though it might not look like much on the map, there's actually a fair bit to talk about with it. According to a dictionary of British place names, Owmby's name could derive from a personal name. It's believed to mean a farmstead or a village of a man called Orthon. It could also be Old Scandinavian for uncultivated land or deserted farm. Owmby is mentioned in the Domesday Book as O'Deneby, and it's placed within the Lindsey 100 and the wapentake of Yarborough. At that time, it comprised 19 households, a meadow of some 40 acres, and a mill. In 1066, the lord of the manor was Grimkel. By 1086, a man named William was lord, and William of Percy was tenant-in-chief. The Domesday entry does not indicate whether the two Williams are the same man. Owmby has the remains of what many believe to be a possible medieval settlement, defined by identifiable earthworks. These are around 80 yards to the east of the junction of the road to Searby with Station Lane and Owmby Hill. In 1885, Kelly's Directory of Lincolnshire noted 5 farmers and Owmby Mount, a now Grade 2 listed 1840 country house at the northwestern edge of the hamlet. Living at Owmby Mount in 1885 was the Caister Rural Sanitation Authority Inspector of Nuisances and Registrar of Births, Marriages and Deaths for the Caister Sub-District. There's never been an Anglican church in Owmby. There's also a further Owmby listed building, and that's the Grade 2 Tithe House on Station Lane, a late 18th century farmhouse with a 20th century extension. And that, as they say, is that. Searby cum Owmby is in the books, and we headed up to the A1084 to tackle the next village. Before that though, here's a picture bit showing you some of the other things around Searby, Owmby and Searby Top. Now, to finish this one off, I've decided to come up to the A1084 because in the last couple of episodes you haven't seen this road. This is the road that's on top of the cliff, as it were, where these episodes have been filmed in West Lindsey over the last couple of weeks. And what you're looking at there is the Cross Keys pub. This is not in Searby or in Owmby, this is in the next village down, but I'm including it in this video here because that is where the next episode is going to begin. And you can see where that is next week in the West Lindsey series. This has been the parish of Searby cum Owmby, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.